Iran spent $20,000. America spent $4 million. Iran spent $20,000. America spent $4 million. That transaction just happened 2,000 times. Do the math, slowly. Iran has fired more than 2,000 Shahed drones since February 28th. Each one cost Tehran between $20,000 and $50,000 to manufacture. Each one the United States and its allies intercepted with a Patriot missile cost $4 million per shot. The THAAD interceptors cost $12 million each. For every dollar Iran spent sending a drone, the UAE spent $20 to $28 shooting it down. That calculation comes from Kelly Grieco, senior fellow at the Stimson Center, using publicly available defense cost data. The Economist described it as using Ferraris to intercept e-bikes. But the Economist was being gentle, because the real number is not 20 to 1. The real number is sometimes 100 to 1, 106 to 1. That is the confirmed cost ratio from the Pentagon's own budget documents. A THAAD interceptor at $12 million, a Shahed drone at $35,000. 106 times more expensive to stop it than to send it. This is not a weapons problem. This is a mathematics problem, and Iran designed its entire strategy around it. Here is what makes this the most important story of the entire conflict that almost no one has stopped to explain in full. The Shahed 136 is not a sophisticated weapon. It flies at roughly 140 kilometers per hour, slower than a commercial helicopter. It carries a warhead of 30 to 50 kilograms. It is essentially a propeller-driven aircraft loaded with explosives and a GPS receiver. Iranian engineers first designed it in 2016. It costs less than a mid-range car to produce, and it has paralyzed the most expensive military machine in human history. Not because it is powerful, because it is cheap enough to manufacture in the thousands, and because the systems designed to stop it cost more to fire than the drone costs to build. That is the entire strategic logic. That is what Iran understood that Western defense planners spent 30 years not fully internalizing. Here is the specific number that should stop everyone watching this in their tracks. The United States and its Gulf allies burned through more than 800 Patriot interceptor missiles in the first 3 days of this conflict. More Patriot missiles in 3 days than Ukraine has received across 4 years of war with Russia. Lockheed Martin, the manufacturer, produces approximately 600 Patriot PAC-3 missiles per year. The entire annual production run, gone in 72 hours. You cannot replace that overnight. You cannot replace that in a month. Lockheed wants to scale production to 2,000 per year by 2027, but 2027 is not now, and the war is now. This is where the analysis becomes more complex, because the interceptor depletion problem is not a line item in a defense budget. It is a strategic constraint that shapes every other decision in this conflict. Every carrier repositioning, every tanker escort calculation, every decision about whether to send destroyers into the Strait of Hormuz, they are all downstream of one question: how many interceptors remain, and how quickly are they being consumed? But that is not the real pressure point. The real pressure point is where this technology came from, and what that reveals about a decade of strategic blindness. Iran did not develop the Shahed alone. Russia purchased the technology in 6,000 units for $1.75 billion in November 2022. Russia then built its own version, the Garan 2, and began mass producing them. By 2026, Russia was manufacturing 1,000 Garan 2 drones per day. Per day. Ukraine's President Zelensky confirmed on CNN this week with what he called 100% certainty that Russia supplied Iran with Shahed drones that were used in attacks against American bases. Russian components were found in wreckage. Russian production capacity served Iranian operational requirements. The drone flying toward an American base in Kuwait was built in Russia, on an Iranian design, in a factory that exists because Iran taught Russia how to manufacture it at scale. That is the supply chain of the weapon that is draining American interceptor stockpiles. And here is the unexpected actor that emerged from this crisis as the only country on Earth with a proven, scalable solution. Ukraine. For 4 years, Ukraine absorbed tens of thousands of Shahed-type drones, 54,000 in 2025 alone by Ukrainian government count. Ukraine could not receive enough Patriot missiles to intercept them all, so Ukraine did what resource-constrained militaries do. It innovated. Ukrainian engineers developed interceptor drones. Small, cheap, autonomous systems designed not to fire expensive missiles at incoming Shaheds, but to physically ram them out of the sky. By late 2025, these interceptor drones were accounting for more than 70% of Shaheds destroyed over Kiev, according to Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky. The Sting interceptor drone costs approximately $2,500. The P-1 Sun system runs around $1,000 and can be produced at 50,000 units per month. $1,000 versus $35,000. The defender is now cheaper than the attacker. Ukraine solved the math problem that America did not. And this week, 11 countries, including the United States, formally requested Ukraine's help. Ukraine dispatched a team of drone warfare specialists to Jordan at Washington's request on March 6 to protect American military bases. Zelensky confirmed it directly. Britain's Prime Minister Starmer announced UK drone experts alongside Ukrainian specialists would be deployed to the Gulf. The same country that Donald Trump told in February 2025 that it did not have the cards. That same country is now America's most urgent defense technology supplier. Trump was asked about Ukraine's drone assistance on Friday. His response, "We don't need their help in drone defense. We know more about drones than anybody." Zelensky responded the same day. "All our institutions received these requests from the U.S., and we responded to them." Both statements cannot be true simultaneously, and the presence of Ukrainian specialists at American military bases in Jordan tells you which one is. The United States did not ignore the Shahhed problem entirely. The Pentagon reverse-engineered it. A company called SpectreWorks developed the FLM-136, an American Shahhed clone officially designated the low-cost unmanned combat attack system, Lucas. It cost $35,000 per unit, roughly matching the Shahhed it was modeled on. It made its combat debut in Operation Epic Fury, used in offensive strikes against Iran. American engineers, looking at an Iranian weapon that was defeating American defenses, built a copy of it. That decision tells you everything about the strategic shift this conflict has forced. The Israeli interceptor picture adds the final pressure point. Semaphore reported on Saturday, citing U.S. officials, that Israel informed Washington this week it is running critically low on ballistic missile interceptors. Israel entered this conflict already depleted from last June's 12-day war, when an estimated 150 THAAD interceptors and 80 SM-3 missiles were consumed. The Israeli military denied the shortage publicly. The Israeli government approved $826 million in emergency defense procurement the same night, on a late-night phone vote. The denial and the emergency vote happened within hours of each other. The emergency vote tells you more than the denial. 3 indicators to watch. Whether Lockheed Martin receives emergency production authorization from Congress. 600 Patriot missiles per year is the current output. 800 were consumed in 3 days. The arithmetic produces one outcome unless production accelerates or the conflict ends. If Congress authorizes emergency procurement above standard appropriations, it signals the administration privately accepts the conflict will extend well beyond the 4-week timeline Trump has publicly discussed. Whether Ukraine's interceptor drone deal with Washington is formally signed. Zelensky confirmed the document exists but has not been executed. "We did not sign it," he said Sunday. "I do not have an answer as to why. If that deal closes, it marks the moment the world's most expensive military formally adopted a $2,000 drone as a core element of its defense architecture. If it does not close, the question is why, and whether the cost exchange ratio changes. Right now, Iran spends $1 and America spends 20 to 28 to respond. That ratio is Iran's strategic oxygen. Every day it persists, Iran's limited defense budget imposes costs on America's much larger one at a rate that favors the smaller power. The ratio only changes when the interceptors being used cost the same or less than the drones being intercepted. Ukraine reached that crossover point in late 2024. The United States is not there yet. A $20,000 drone is currently dictating the strategic calculus of the most expensive military alliance in history. That sentence would have been dismissed as absurd 5 years ago. Today, it is the confirmed operational reality of the 3rd week of Operation Epic Fury. And the only country that figured out how to answer it cheaply, learned the lesson under fire. In a war America largely wanted to end on terms unfavorable to the student. Watch what Ukraine's drone specialists find when they assess the Gulf's air defense gaps, because whatever they find, they have already solved.